What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this Shedeur Sanders situation and also what's going on with him in Cleveland and the coach Kevin Stefanski. Everybody's seen the game this past weekend, Sunday, where the coach Stefanski took Shedeur Sanders out, right? And and everybody think that you okay, so Stefanski need to go, and I don't know. I mean, if he need to go or not, I think he's gonna get fired, just like because that play that they ran was just it just was a gimmick play, and then here you got Shedeur Sanders coming down two drives in a row and got them points, right? Got them two touchdowns. And then he's gonna go run a trick play. But I think I want to talk about why would Kevin Stefanski do something like that. And I think it's ego. When you I think he has something against Shedeur Sanders. Like he don't want Shedeur Sanders to shine because if Shedeur Sanders shine, then that means that number one, Stefanski was wrong for not wanting him there in the first place, right? And because Dylan Gabriel is his guy, so he gave Gabriel an opportunity to, and it didn't work out for Gabriel. I don't know if Gabriel got hurt. I think he did get hurt, and then so Shedeur got in there. They didn't have any chance, but I think his ego is kind of getting in his way, and for him to be an offensive genius, I think also too that's weighing in on the things. Like he's an offensive genius, was supposed to have had some success with quarterbacks in the past, but he knows that if Shedeur Sanders has any type of success, then people won't attribute that to him, right? And I think that bothers him because he is somebody who's been said to be able to develop quarterbacks. And the way Shedeur Sanders is and how arrogant he is, he's not going to allow that to happen. And so that almost, in a sense, makes him as a head coach a lame duck coach. And a coach don't want to be a lame duck coach, especially to a player. Like when people had the discussion about Tom Brady and Bill Belichick at New England, right? The discussion was like, well, who was like, did they win because of Bill Belichick or were they winning because of Tom Brady? You know, so that there could be some doubt there because Bill Belichick, Tom Brady never challenged Bill Belichick for authority, right? But the very presence of Shedeur Sanders on that team is going to challenge Stefanski for like something like why is this team winning? Is it because of Stefanski or is it because of Shedeur Sanders? And that is not going to with Stefanski. I almost think that he would prefer to put his job on the line, like he did this weekend, than to have Shedeur Sanders have some type of success and then everybody give Shedeur the credit. I don't think I don't think a lot of coaches would want to go through that. Like, because they want to be able to say that they're running things. They want to be able to say that they developed this player. They don't mind the player having success. Head coaches don't mind them having success. Head coaches don't mind players but as long as the coach can, there's some people thinking or have some type of way they see it like, okay, for a long time people say, well, Tom Brady is having this kind of success because of Bill Belichick. It was only towards the end of their career that people said, well, who was, why would, who was, really running the show or who really was carrying the team? Was it Tom or was it Bill? And then when Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay and he wins a Super Bowl, people was like, all right, so it was Tom Brady. Because if you look at Bill Belichick's record before Tom Brady, he was a little bit less than average coach. according to his record. Then when he get Tom Brady, like I mean, like it's his record is through the roof. Tom Brady leave, and again he go back to, once Tom Brady leave the team, Bill Belichick goes back to what his record was before Tom Brady and what his record was at Cleveland, right? So Stefanski don't want to be in a situation where you're questioning his like whether who is really the catalyst of the success on that team. That's why he's making the decisions that he's making. That's why he wanted to start Gabriel. And I think that Stefanski probably is going to get fired. And the next head coach that comes in is probably going to have to be somebody that can kind of just deal with the circus that come along with Shedeur Sanders. That's if Shedeur continues to have this had success. Like he played a really good game against, the Titans, even though they didn't win. And if he has success, man, that's not really going to go well for Stefanski. Then that means that Stefanski is not going to be there because he's not going to be able to swallow his pride and just, not just swallow his pride, but he's going to have to get to a point where him and Shedeur have an understanding. They're going to have to be on the same page. And I don't think that no player, no matter how good they are, should feel like they don't need a coach, right? So if Stefanski can't be the guy who gets through to Shedeur and help him to realize that although you are a very good player, you still need a coach. You still got to trust in us. You still have to do things, the our way. Then Stefanski won't be there, or Shedeur, he'll have limited amount of success. Anytime you had Michael Jordan, who, who allowed Phil Jackson to coach him, and you're talking about the greatest basketball player of all time, right? But he realized that he didn't know everything about basketball, and he realized that a really good coach, can help him get to where he wanted to go. Hopefully, Shedeur Sanders will recognize that and feel like a good coach will get him to, go to where he need to go. If Shedeur want to make the playoffs, he want to make a Super Bowl run, potentially win a Super Bowl, then he's going to have to buy into somebody's program. Now, it may not be Stefanski, but Shedeur is going to have to buy into a head coach's program. If he wants to be a better football player, a better teammate, and so he's going to have to buy in. Stefanski probably don't want to have no parts of when it comes to like Shedeur Sanders and everything that comes along with him. Then you have his father who's going to be in the building. Like the more success that Shedeur have, I think the more it makes Stefanski feel like a lame duck coach. When I think from the very beginning, he should have been trying to, the coach Stefanski should have been, just trying to build a bridge between himself and Shedeur. You don't want to be in a position where as though you're trying to quietly sabotage a player, you know, because now, you're in a position where if Shedeur has any type of success, then that's not going to look good. His stock is rising. You're making plays that are like based on your ego and stuff like that. Yeah, he's going to find himself out of a job. Everybody is calling for him to be fired, right? And I think he probably by the end of the season, like I said, if Shedeur Sanders is having success, then yes, Stefanski will be he probably will be fired, And so the next coach that comes in will see what Stefanski did wrong, and he'll try to um he'll try to establish a rapport and a relationship and establish trust. Now, if hopefully Shedeur will be open to that, and hopefully Shedeur won't allow his father to coach from the from the box seats upstairs. He won't allow his father to do that. But this whole situation with Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, is just an interesting situation. I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. Like, is Shedeur Sanders going to be open to being coached by somebody? That's and all great players need to be coached. They need to I mean, all players need to be coached, even the great ones, right? And so I'm open. I want to see if Shedeur Sanders is going to be open to coaching. Um, and so, with that being said, man, that's my take on the situation. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know what you think, man. Do you think that Shedeur Sanders is open to being coached, and can he buy into somebody's program? And in order to grow and get better as a quarterback. So I'll check you all out in the next video, and make sure to leave your comments.